Hey guys, welcome back. I can't believe it. It's finally here. The 7th and final season of The Clone Wars just dropped this morning. I'm about to watch it now. I'm pretty excited. Apparently this is the Bad Batch episode. I read about it several years back. There were like storyboards, but I never really looked into it that much. And I don't remember the storyline. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to see Clone Wars again. You may notice my hair is a lot shorter. I made a video explaining that, which will be right up there. But let's not talk about that too much. Let's just watch Star Wars. By the way, this is the very first Star Wars anything that I have watched since my break ended, so hey, perfect timing. So instead of my usual munchies, I've got breakfast, which is oatmeal, an apple, and a drink, one of those drink mixes that happens to be caffeinated. Because I don't drink coffee unless it's heavily flavored. So, here we go. Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 1, The Bad Batch. And boom. Oh boy. I'm jumping right into it. Okay, what's the moral gonna be here? Embrace others for their differences, for that makes you whole. That's interesting. Okay, so I just finished watching the first episode of Season 7, The Bad Batch. Initial thoughts of this episode, it wasn't quite as engaging as The Mandalorian because I sort of knew the characters going into it, and to be perfectly honest, I am not that crazy about clone storylines. Although, I have to say, Captain Rex kind of saved the episode for me. It's not a bad episode by any stretch of the imagination. But, like I said, I'm just not into the clones, and if you are a patron, you can see my full reaction to this episode, and I have to say right now, it's not that interesting. I don't react all that much. I'm also sort of engaged in the episode. If you have not seen this episode yet, spoiler alert, you have to see it before you watch this review. Well, if you want to be spoiled, I can't dictate your life to you, but personally I prefer not to be spoiled, so I would highly recommend, if you have not seen The Bad Batch yet, go watch it, and then come back to this review. So yeah, there's my spoiler disclaimer, because there are full spoilers on this. Now, The Bad Batch is an episode that apparently was storyboarded and like partially released online, but I never really read about it or saw it, so it was totally new to me. The story goes, the clones have been suffering heavy losses because the opposition can figure out their tactics and make each repeated tactic less effective. And Rex suspects it's because a clone they lost a season or two back, Echo, who was one of his, the group that they first saw in the rookies. Well, we first saw them in the training, but anyway, it wasn't in chronological order. But in Season 1, we first saw these guys in the episode Rookies. It was Heavy, Echo, oh goodness, Fives, and there was another guy, I cannot remember his name. But Fives and Echo moved on a little bit farther than the other guys. And Fives was the one who we lost in the last season because they figured out the whole conspiracy of the microchips telling them what to do, and with the Order 66 order that was buried in their heads last season. And Rex is sort of contemplating that, and he thinks Echo's still alive. Cody thinks he's nuts. And so because of the losses they've been suffering, they call in... these guys are beyond special ops. It's a group of 4 clones that call themselves the Bad Batch. These are clones that have... they've got genetic mutations that are desirable for the battlefield, but you've got the typical sort of almost like an A-team group. You've got the big guy who's extremely strong, basically like a tank. I call him all testosterone, no brains. I think he's called Demo for like demolition or something like that. They've also got the guy that looks almost like Rambo with the headband around his Hunter. He's good at hand-to-hand combat. You've got the sniper, who I believe is called Crosshair, and he's pretty quiet, you know, the strong silent type. He's just silent but deadly. That pretty much describes Crosshair. He's got the toothpick in his mouth too, which is crazy. And the last guy is the nerd of the group called, I believe, Tech. I know I should have taken notes, but I was too involved in the episode to do that. But yeah, these guys are... If some other clones we've seen are special ops, these guys are like Navy SEAL level. They're deadly, not necessarily ethical, we've heard, but they're pretty deadly and they get the job done. What I like most about this episode was the fact that it focused on Rex's humanity. He definitely seems more human than the other clones. Cody is definitely the quintessential clone. He follows orders, follows orders, follows orders. And Rex has got a little bit more flexibility. Maybe hanging out with Anakin and the Jedi has given him more humanity, but you really see he's sort of struggling internally, especially with the loss of his friends. And that's really good to see. He really humanizes the clones as a whole and makes you feel for them, and he's definitely my favorite character in this episode. My favorite part of this episode is, like I said before, when Rex is sort of sitting in the bunks and he's looking at a picture of his buddies and sort of shaking his head, and we lost so many, and he just doesn't, something feels off to him about these new tactics, and Cody sort of blows it off, but Rex is still, he's thinking. And by the end of the episode we find out, wow, Cody was right and Echo is somehow still alive. Now, as a disclaimer, I don't remember the episode in which they lost Echo. I may have to find it and rewatch it so I can understand it a little better. But that's basically how the episode ends. Iris out, oh, he's still alive, and that's it. It's a literal cliffhanger. I can't decide a favorite line in there, although several of them made me laugh. I may have to revisit that later. But now for the ratings. The story gets an 8. It was good, but not the absolute best I've seen. Technical aspects, oh, top notch. Animation gets a 10. The lighting and the soft filter over everything and the color palette, so well done. Voice acting was another 10. I can't believe how one guy, D. Bradley Baker, injects all these different personalities into an army of clones. I can't understand how the guy does that. He does it so well. Sound mix, I give a 9. The music is really good. The sounds, I love how it was more stereo, sort of surround sound this time. So good. The characters get an 8. Honestly, most of that's for Rex. Because I have to say the Bad Batch seems sort of 18 cliche to me. That doesn't make them bad characters, but they're not as nuanced and original as they could be. So that gives episode 1 of season 7 a total score of 9 out of 10. I can't wait till next week. What I'm most looking forward to in this season is seeing Ahsoka pop up again, her and Anakin's reunion, her versus Darth Maul. I'm like, okay, that's got to come to a stalemate because we know both of them survived to Rebels, so ooh, that's going to be very interesting. And also Padme popping up. That hologram of Padme with the baby bump is driving me crazy. That's probably one of the #1 reasons I'm actually watching this season. And because it's a darn good show. I mean, come on. Dave Filoni is like... Dave Filoni's shows are like a fine wine. They get better with age. Or he gets better as he goes along. So anyway, that's been the Clumsy Jedi's review of the first episode of season 7, The Bad Batch. Can't wait till next week. I still need to find out the official release schedule, whether it's going to be every Friday like The Mandalorian was, or if they're going to go on different days of the week, or if they're going to alternate because of, like, I can't think of any releases that would interfere with the Clone Wars, unless it's possibly the DVD release, Blu-ray release of The Rise of Skywalker, which isn't going to be until the end of March. Yes, we finally got an official date for that, which I believe it's March 31st. Definitely going to be covering that. Now, don't go anywhere because next week we've got even more Star Wars stuff for you. On Monday, we're going to be talking about the next major cardboard project that I'm doing, which I'm thinking should be fairly impressive. If I can think of a way to do that in my tiny budget. On Wednesday, we're going to be talking about the new series Weapons Wednesday. Instead of Saber Saturday, going to be Weapons Wednesday. That's going to kick off completely in spring. Really looking forward to that. More weapons training. Of course, next Friday is going to be more Clone Wars, and we're going to be reviewing the next episode. I hope there's Ahsoka and or Padme or both. Something more of the people related to Skywalkers in some way. That's what I'm most looking forward to, honestly. Hi, my name is Clumsy and I'm a Skywalker addict. And that's what I love most about Star Wars, but I am kind of curious to see where this storyline goes. Anyway, I'm going off on tangents here. Oh yes, question of the day. For those of you who have actually seen this episode, I hope everybody watching this has seen the episode so you're not spoiled. What was your favorite part of the Bad Batch and why? Go ahead and post a comment. As always, please keep things clean for the younger folks in the audience. I know this is not marked as for kids, but I still want to keep things as family friendly as I possibly can. So please and thank you. So I'll see everybody again next week, and until then, God bless and may the Force be with you. Hope everyone has a great weekend.